Good morning, everyone. I'm excited to be back doing Read Aloud. I have my friend Zoo here with me, and we are ready to go today. I have a few little things I want to talk to you about before I begin. First and foremost, I want to thank Lillian, Ella, Kayla, and Thomas for going through and making that awesome video where they went through and summarized the last couple chapters that we had been reading while we have been away from physical school. They're awesome. They didn't have to do that. They did that. Love it. Love them. If you see them, make sure to say something really kind and sweet about how proud you are of them for taking that risk. Another quick thing is make sure you're checking your emails every day. I'm sending you emails randomly throughout the day. Your ear's twitching on me. So make sure you're checking your emails. And then if you've not added yourself to the PE Google Classroom, there's a link to that there's the code for it in our classroom. And then last but not least, if you've not, today's assignment, we have Mrs. Dropic was the one who actually posted it. So it is your assignment for today. Your assignment will always have the date listed first for you to do. So today's assignment is listed by Mrs. Dropic. It is like our first actual real, true getting back into learning assignment. If you have any questions, please email me. I'm here to help you. I'm at my computer all day. Marty, that was Marty. Sorry, he's sneezing. So we're gonna go ahead and get ourselves. Marty. Hey, John. I apologize. We'll get going here. To remind us where we're at, it's been quite some time since we have gone through and read. So we had something crazy happen at the very end of our last one. We have Chet, who was just bitten by that snake. He's posted up against a pine tree. We have Valencia and Kaori and Jen, who were at Virgil's parents' house. At Virgil's parents' house. And Virgil is still clearly down in the well. So let's go ahead and get ourselves started, and we'll be able to get going. All right, so chapter 31. It is a map, so it looks like it is our friend Kaori. Virgil wasn't home, which means he's in trouble. I know it, said Kaori. We need to have the ceremony. After they returned from Virgil's house, they collapsed on the floor of the Tanaka's living room to discuss their next plan of action. They also turned on the television, which had lured Jen's attention away. All for the better, as far as Kaori was concerned. Who needs the inside of a child where matters of life and death are at stake? Just Renee frowned at the TV and said, It's hard for me to make out sounds with the TV on in the background. Makes everything garbled. She wiggled her hands around her ears as if it was a universal sign for garbled. Do you mind if we lower it? Kaori glared at her sister. Turn that thing down. Jen muted it, but didn't toy. Sorry, Zoo just dropped her toy. Did you say something about a ceremony? Renee asked Kaori. All right, just to remind you, because we haven't had, it's been a little bit of time. Renee is actually who? Valencia. Remember, she gave that fake name to Kaori because she didn't know her. She's still kind of a stranger. Kaori's face turned serious. She straightened her back and folded her hands in her lap. The ceremony of lost things, Kaori said solemnly. It's a ritual to help us find Virgil, but we can't do it here. We have to go into the woods. The ceremony only works if you're one with nature, and this certainly isn't nature. She gestured towards the television. The clock on the wall, a hideously ugly and practical thing in Kaori's opinion, said it was 2:19. She wondered how long people had to be lost to be considered a missing person. It hadn't been that long, but a lot of bad things could happen in 3 hours and 19 minutes. Kaori anticipated just Renee's next question. What's the ceremony of lost things? Truth be told, Kaori had no idea. She was sure there was a proper ceremony that could help gifted mediums find lost items or people. She just didn't know what that was. No matter. She would figure it out as she went along. The ancestors would guide her. There's no time to explain all the details, said Kaori. She stood quickly and snapped her fingers in her sister's direction. Jen turned her head, but not her eyes from the TV. Kaori sighed. Really, Jen? Really? Really, Jen was more trouble than she was worth sometimes. Kaori had explained that the television was too practical, too traditional, and too everyday for the Tanaka daughters. But the poor kid didn't seem to get it. Jen, said Kaori, get Mom's secret matches. We're going into the woods. Mrs. Tanaka kept a box of matches in the second drawer from under the microwave. She used them to light her cigarettes, the ones she thought she was hiding from her daughters, as if. You can't hide anything from me, Mother, Kaori had once said. I inherited second sight. Inherited from who? Her mother had asked. No one on either side of the family has ever been remotely interested in such a thing. Mrs. Tanaka had no appreciation for bloodlines or former lives, the kind that stretched back generations, the ones that no one knew about. When Kaori imagined her birth, she pictured herself emerging from a patch of lavender, dark hair, and full of rage at the injustices of her past lives, of which there were two. That's kind of confusing. So when she's thinking about how she was born, she's thinking that she had two previous lives, is what I'm saying. What I'm understanding from this. So when there's people that believe, we've talked about a lot about how this book has some different kind of religious beliefs that are listed, and there are people that believe that they believe in something called reincarnation, which is when their belief is that they'd been alive before, and that when they died, they ended up coming into to being somebody else. So some people believe that in another life, they were a dog, or they believe that they were a certain type of person in some other part of the world. And it sounds like that's what Kaori's believing. The first time she walked the earth, she'd been in ancient Egypt. She knew this because it came to her in a dream. She saw herself slipping between the pyramids with a long white robe. What other explanation was there, except that she had once walked through the pyramids in real life? In her second life, she was a freedom fighter from Bangladesh. She knew this because she'd once seen a snippet of a documentary on television. And when they showed images of Bangladesh, they really looked familiar to her, and she couldn't explain why. She probably could have learned more if her father hadn't switched the channel. She tried to explain that the documentary was necessary for her to explore past life transgressions. But he said it was March Madness, and past life transgressions didn't happen during college basketball season. Just because her parents didn't know about her secret heritage and magical and mystical powers didn't make them not so. Besides, her parents had always been monstrously unimaginative. Take smoking, for instance. Mrs. Tanaka smoked 1 or 2 cigarettes a week on the back patio, but she failed to consider that Kaori's bedroom window was usually downwind, which meant the smoke blew right into the chamber, right by the spirit chamber. She was clueless. Jen didn't make a move for the matches right away. Instead, she took her precious time getting up so that she could catch the end of her show. She didn't get a fire under her until Kaori snapped again. Life-saving missions don't wait for commercial breaks, she said. Besides, we need to hurry before Mr. and Mrs. Tanaka get home. Jen was still dragging her feet as Just Renee strode toward the door with her bag slung on her shoulder. Kaori snatched one of her mother's decorative candles out of the candlestick on the table, stuck it in her back pocket, and followed Just Renee outside. Once the door opened, Jen picked up the pace. She grabbed her jump rope and slung it over her shoulder. Why do you bring that thing everywhere we go? Asked Kaori. It's not as if we're jumping rope through the trees. You never know when you might need to jump rope, said Jen. Kaori rolled her eyes. Really? You are a wonder. She took the matches from her little sister, and the three of them stepped into the blazing hot sun. It's hot, Jen said. We should cook an egg. She heard somewhere that it was possible to cook an egg on the car or cement if it was hot enough outside. And she'd been needling Kaori about it ever since. We don't have time for science experiments, said Kaori. She locked the front door and shoved the house key deep into her pocket. Just Renee was already a few feet ahead, making her way toward the street. It only takes 2 seconds to crack an egg, said Jen. How can you think about eggs at a time like this? Kaori asked. She and Jen followed Just Renee, who stopped at the... Excuse me. I bet he's okay, said Jen. He probably just forgot. What's the worst thing that could have happened? You don't want me to answer that, Kaori said. Where are we going exactly? Asked Just Renee. Yeah, said Jen. Where are we going with the matches and the candle exactly? Kaori pointed straight ahead without breaking her stride, like a general leading her troops into battle. That way, she said. As they crossed the street and into the woods side by side, Jen tugged at Renee's sleeve. Do your hearing aids hurt? She asked. Sometimes they itch or they make a dent in my ear. Hurts a little, Renee said. The trees brought much needed shade from the heat. Kaori took note of their surroundings, thinking. She wasn't very familiar with the woods, truth be told. They creeped her out. The woods were full of unpredictable happenings. Snapping creatures, falling branches, stinging insects. She preferred the comforts of home, where she always knew what to expect. But what choice did she have? It sounded like they were going to find Virgil, hiding under one of the sofa cushions. Why do you still have to read lips if you have hearing aids? Asked Jen. Twigs crunched under their feet. They didn't make me hear everything clear. They don't make me hear everything clearly, the way that you do. I have to fit sounds with the shape. I have to fit the sounds with the shapes the lips make, like a puzzle, Renee said, looking from Jen to the woods. And I have to fit the sounds and the shapes with the situation because so many words look the same when you lip read, like Matt and mad, or Pat and pad. Were you born deaf? No, I could hear a little. That's why I learned to talk. But then it went away mostly. I wonder if mine will go away. Doubtful. Could you read lips from far away if you had binoculars or a telescope? Kaori couldn't take it anymore. How was she supposed to become one with the forest if Jen kept talking? Stop asking so many questions, Kaori snapped. She heard buzzing near her ear and swatted at it. Jen blinked at her. Why? Because it's rude. Just Renee doesn't mind. Jen looked up at their new client and tapped her hand. Do you? I mind, said Kaori. We need to stay focused and your prattling isn't helping. Kaori didn't want to admit it, but she liked having Jen as her second in command, which meant that she was always first in command, which meant that she was in charge. But Just Renee seemed to be a natural take-charge person. She was leading the way, even though she had no idea what they were supposed to be. She was leading the way, even though she had no idea what they were supposed to be looking for. Kaori would bet money she was a Leo. Let's stop here, Kaori said. Jen stopped, then Just Renee. They both looked at Kaori curiously. To proper conduct the ceremony, we need a special type of stone, said Kaori with as much authority as she could. Like the 5 stones you told Virgil to get? Jen asked. What 5 stones? Asked Just Renee, looking from little sister to big sister. Kaori ignored the question. There's no time to explain the minor details. We only need one. It's called a snakeskin agate. So Just Renee said what 5 stones? Why do you think Just Renee is curious about the just 5 stones? Did she by chance see them at some point? But Kaori ignored the question. There was no time to explain the minor details. We only need one. It's called a snake skin a gate. I'm so sorry. My goodness. Ugh. Just Renee tilted her head. Did you say you need a snake skin a gate? Yes. Snake skin a gate. Carrie repeated. What's that? Asked Jen. It's a stone. It could be as small as a pigeon egg. Carrie opened her empty hand as if the agate agate would have magically appear there. It's a rock with scales. That's why it's called a snakeskin. Just Renee frowned. We'll never find one of those in these woods. How do you know? Asked Carrie. There's still all kind of rocks and things in here. Because snakeskin agates are usually found in dry riverbeds or just along rivers, or just along beaches, places where there's water. Just Renee looked around at the dry twigs and the towering trees. There definitely isn't any water around here. Jen crossed her arms and raised her eyebrows. Kiori. Now what? Kiori didn't know what to say. For all she knew, Just Renee was right. Kiori had never actually seen a snakeskin gate after all. But she studied endless pages of gems online, and she knew which ones were used for what. The snakeskin gate helped you find lost things, and Virgil was lost, if not to himself, then to her. And as silly and ridiculous as Virgil was, she wanted to know he was alive and breathing. I suppose we don't necessarily need to find the snakeskin gate precisely, said Kaori. Maybe just something like it. I mean, it's the gem you're supposed to use, but whatever. I guess we can just get a rock with scales, something close enough. Maybe our energy will make up for the rest. Jen looked up at Just Renee to gauge her reaction. What do you think? She asked. Carrie frowned. She never heard Jen ask anyone else for guidance before, not even their parents. I wonder how that's making her feel. Never asked anyone for guidance before, not even her parents. Just Renee studied Jen's face and then looked at Kaori. A few seconds passed before she said, if your sister says we need to find a rock with scales, I guess we need to find a rock with scales. Kaori's shoulders relaxed. Something passed between the two older girls then. A mutual understanding that didn't need to be spoken. And Kaori, being a gifted person of second sight, had great appreciation for such things. She smiled at Just Renee, just a little, just a hint, and Just Renee smiled back. That was when they heard the screaming. Oh, who are they hearing screaming? I'm going to stop there. I know I only read one chapter, but I'm stopping there because it is sunny outside and it has not been sunny outside in the past couple days. So I don't want to take any more of your time. We've already been on for 18 minutes. So I'm going to stop there and I'll read more tomorrow. I'm hoping to be on at the exact same time of 10 a.m. tomorrow. And I will post a question in Google Classroom. Just post some comments, concern place. This is not your assignment. Remember, your assignment is the actual assignment that was posted beforehand. That was posted by Mrs. Tropic. So make sure you complete that. And I will see you all soon. Check your email every day, guys. All right. Love you all. See you soon.